get annoyed every time Dan Le Batard pontificates about the sports media industry? Well, too bad, motherfucker. He knows he don't give a damn about what he's gonna say. It's time for Sports Media Talk today.
This one's interesting. I'm promising you that people are interested in this one. I have seen what Ethan Strauss is doing with his Substack. Stugotz, people say that I live in an echo chamber, but I do like people who think differently than me and can execute, making me think a little bit. And Ethan Strauss at his Substack, he and I are not aligned on a lot of things. But one place where we are aligned is in finding fascinating what's happening with Woj and Shams, because these are the two most competitive monsters that I've ever seen. It's King Kong and Godzilla of the information business, and Shams learned it from his mentor, who's the most competitive person I've ever met in sports media, who has relationships with the executives, with the old guard in basketball, the people who have controlled all of the power in basketball. And his protege, who is 30 years old and is much different than him, traffics in the information from labor, from the players. And so there has been a fight at the top of the food chain. And Stugotz, I will tell you that Adrian Wojnarowski is one of the best writers I have ever seen. He doesn't do it anymore. He cannot. He is now in the information business, and it's been rough to watch one of the greatest sports writers I've ever seen condensed to cubes of information as fast as you can, because that's where the money is these days, and that's where the power is these days.
That's where the interest is these days. I mean,
the money, the power, the interest, all of it. The information guys are valuable. But when I tell you that this is one of the great sports writers of my time, and I saw the way that Mike Lupica tried to bury any up-and-comers in that city, to see him rise to the level of power he has. And this is a man who's been a friend for a long time, although I've said some things recently that I don't think would have him calling me a friend anymore. My guess is that he's pretty mad at me because I didn't notice until after I'd left at ESPN how scared everybody in basketball was who worked there if they weren't totally aligned with the guy who was running the basketball business there. To see Shams on McAfee is such a you from McAfee to Woj and the established infrastructure. No one is allowed on ESPN basketball stuff until Shams on McAfee that Woj isn't good with. To see his enemy in the middle of the workday on McAfee is hugely interesting to me. And then to see them this far apart on what the Lakers were doing and fighting at the top of the information food chain to produce an offer, a story around Hurley that I don't think any of us but Woj saw coming. Like, that was not something that people were talking about before Woj reported it. After Shams had reported, J.J. Redick is the front runner.
I mean, Dan Hurley has talked about going to the NBA, wanting to coach in the NBA, but I'm with you. No one saw this one coming, the Laker job coming. It is interesting with McAfee because he is doing that just to piss off Woj. And believe me, it pisses off Woj.
All right, let's welcome in. We'll talk more about this in a little bit. But the Hurley family is basketball royalty. Like, they really are. And Woj wrote the book on Dan's father who, like, conquered the Northeast teaching basketball correctly. It's kind of crazy, honestly, to see this family dominate this sport this way because they know how to coach fundamental basketball in a way that outsmarts everyone they're playing against.
Dan Hurley's dad is a legend.
It's
51
unbelievable.
Years at
and
St. Anthony's.
A better coach than Dan. Dan's the bum in the family. He's the bum in the family. He's underachieved with only a couple of championships. The bum joins us now, and this is what a bum he is, Stugotz. He could have been living in Malibu. Instead, he's coming from a luxurious all-day camp for high schoolers in Orlando, where it was 100 degrees yesterday.
He chose Stores over L.A.
Stores, Connecticut, over a home in Malibu coaching LeBron, one of the great idiots of our time, ladies and gentlemen. Dan Hurley with us.
Hey, Dan. Let's go, Danny. Yeah.
Hey, guys.
Welcome, sir. I was confused by the last week. Congratulations on all your success. And it's certainly deserved for you to be the big free agent negotiating for Laker money. But what do you make of the last 10 days of your life?
Wild, man. I mean, just wild. I think, for me, just kind of like last week, beginning of the week, maybe Monday, you start to, have, conversation with your agent, about what your serious interest level would be in making such a move. So you really, the beginning of last week, you started really putting into my mind, was it something I would really put serious consideration into? And after thinking about it, like earlier in the week, it was something I wanted to explore. The opportunity to potentially coach the Lakers and to coach one of the greatest players of all time, and to coach another, one of the best, players in the NBA and AD, and to lead such a storied franchise, and to walk the sidelines, where some of the greatest to ever do it, Pat Riley and Phil Jackson. I mean, it was something in my mind that I had to explore and consider and see what it looked like.
Did you talk to LeBron?
I did not. We had some communication. One of my first games I ever coached in as a high school coach was against LeBron in Delaware, when he was at St. Mary's St. Vincent. His team came into that game with a 66-game winning streak, and it was my first year as a head coach. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. When the game ended, he had a 67-game winning streak, and so I shared the court with him once, and it would have been a thrill to coach him.
To be clear, though, Dan, the reason I asked the question is when Tom Izzo was considering this kind of job change to Cleveland, he couldn't get a hold of LeBron. He never spoke to him. The reason I asked the question is because it'd be hard for you to make that particular decision without knowing LeBron's totally on board with what it is you're doing.
Yeah, no doubt. And, I think he's obviously one of the greatest players, an incredible basketball mind. And, I know that he wants, he wants a great coach in that organization. I know that's important to him.
What a great recruiting pitch for you, though. You turned down Kentucky, you turned down LeBron, you turned down the Lakers. You tell the kids, I did it for you.
Well, that to me is one of the dumbest takes I've heard.
Well, thank you, Dan.
No, not you.
Right,
I mean,
right.
Stugotz.
Yeah.
I got a Stugotz on my team too. Here, I got the Jalen Stewart, and
My man.
I called him, Stu, and I got in trouble for Breanna Stewart. So now I call him Stugotz sometimes when he does. But like one of the worst takes I've ever heard is like, this was a leverage play by me to improve my situation at UConn. Like, I don't need leverage here. We've won back-to-back national championships, at this place. And this was never a leverage situation for me. I've had a contract in place here, for a couple of weeks, and the financial part in terms of salary has been done for a while. There's some other parts like NIL and staff salaries and some different things that I needed, that I want adjusted, that I'm not comfortable with. But the sense or the idea that this was some conspiracy to get me a sweeter deal at UConn is just, it's lazy and not. It was truly like a gut-wrenching decision for me, because I was really Sunday night going into Monday where I had a kind of a deadline in my mind. I was like torn, and I didn't know really what I was going to do until I went to bed.
What was the deadline in your mind? Why did you do that?
Well, we had practice with the players. We had a scheduled practice at 1:00 on Monday, and it obviously had become a circus. It was weighing on it was weighing on me and my wife and my two sons and my whole family, and then with the players and their families. I mean, that are here. Just the timing is terrible. It's June. Like we already had completed like a week of practice together, and then this whole thing, came up. I had a player that removed his name from the draft that very well could have stayed in the draft that had come back to UConn to play for me and to do one more year and to go for a three-peat. So, like it would become too much of a circus. And if I had no deadline, I would have tortured myself over the decision for a longer period of time because, the chance to coach the Lakers and LeBron and to an AD and to work for Jeannie Buss and to work with Rob Pelinka was like, it was a hard thing to pass up.
Dan, I can't pretend to know you. I have read Woj's book on your father, and so I'm assuming from your body language, the way you're hiding in your hat on some of the praise that you're getting and some of the attention you're getting in the middle of the basketball finals, given how much you respect basketball from the crib. Are you embarrassed by what the last few days have been publicly?
Yeah, I think so, to a degree. Wow, you're really breaking me down here. For me, it's not been, my life has changed a lot in the last 22 months in terms of how I'm viewed, in sports, in basketball. For me, I've always been, not quite good enough or the third or the third wheel or just pretty good. And obviously a lot has changed, for me in terms of the success in basketball and just didn't imagine, I guess just being in this position. It's not something that, was some plan I had, 25 years ago when I got into coaching or 15 years ago when I was a high school coach driving I can't curse on you.
Yeah,
right?
you can.
No, you're good.
Yeah, I mean, I was driving a cheese bus, I was driving a mini cheese bus around going to high school games 15 years ago. Like, I didn't think I'd be choosing between coming back for a three-peat at UConn or turning down the Lakers. I didn't see it coming, man.
Well, but the reason I asked the question is because you're coach's son, and I feel off of you, I cannot know this, the sort of embarrassment of I'm not the story. Like, you guys understand, like, yes, I can have my ego and it's my leadership and my discipline, but you've been dominating the basketball story when my guess is that if you were in some other position, you would want people talking about Jason Tatum.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. It took on just a crazy dynamic, and obviously it had, most of it had to do with just the Lakers, right? I mean, like anything Lakers with the NBA is going to be a huge story. I mean, they're talking about the Lakers nonstop. I mean, it's just, it's LA, it's the brand, it's the history, it's the media market, it's all those things, and I'm like a simple guy, man. I just the least complicated part of my day and the best part of my day as a basketball coach is the time on the court, the practice time. I love the practice time. I love the purity of coaching. Probably in the end, a lot of people they talk about how bad college basketball is with NIL and transfer portal, and I think a lot of that is just. I think it's a lot of it's excuses and it's whiny. Like it's a privilege to be able to coach at this level, make the amount of money that we make, and then coach like 18, 19, 20-year-olds, and you could still like impact lives and coach at a high level. It's just being a college coach is incredible.
Dan, what did your wife want to do?
She was like crying in the beginning. I think initially that the first couple of days of it, she got violently angry and emotional, like not like hitting me and stuff. Not like, get away from me. I don't want to consider this. You're torturing me with this incredible opportunity, you horrible human being. She got emotional, like I can't believe you're bringing this. Our life is so great. It's perfect. Like our lives couldn't be better, and now you're bringing this shit. So she was bad in the beginning, but then she warmed up to it when we got out there, and she met Rob and she met Jeannie, and and felt the weather, and we drove around Manhattan Beach, and just met the people though mostly, and she saw the vision of it. She was into it, but then when we got back to Connecticut, without having made a decision, and we got back home, and we both flipped back.
Ambition has been something, I imagine, that could test any relationship, like the stuff, you know what I mean? So that when you're getting to a point, really, again, we got to move. We got settled. We're good here. We've arrived at the top of the mountain. This is success, right?
The nerve of Dan to bring his wife a $70 million offer.
No, that when you say it's gut wrenching, though, I get it from there, Dan. What are we choosing? Are we choosing family, or are we choosing what Dan wants all the time?
Yeah, and for me, I was a high school coach for 9 years, so I got a chance to, when my kids were young, I got a chance to, to get to Little League games and to get to CYO games. And like when my kids were in grade school, I was able to kind of be there for them before I went into the college, rat race. But I also, too, it's like, I'm still haunted by my playing career in a lot of ways, and just in terms of, how disappointed I am to this day in terms of how that went for me at Seton Hall. So now I do feel this enormous pressure in coaching to, to kind of make up for that in a way, and to achieve more greatly because of the disappointment that will kind of eat away at me whenever my playing days are brought up.
That one is rough. Like the tapestry of who it is that you've built to get to this moment to conquer. Like, what an interesting, fascinating decision for you to have to make. And I don't think that people would understand that the last 10 days haven't been entirely joyful to you, that you would arrive at all beyond your wildest dreams and you'd still be gut-wrenched because it's an embarrassment of riches, but people don't understand what it's like to be you.
I mean, too incredible. Yeah, I mean, you don't want to say it because people will roll their eyes, like real people that have real problems and real struggles, and so it's like, you sound like an idiot, but it's absolutely true. Like you have two incredible opportunities, and it's like it tears you up inside. I mean, from when we got on from when we landed and started spending time with Rob and Jeannie, and spend time around the facility, and then knowing what you'd be leaving at UCONN, and trying to imagine walking into the locker room and telling your team I'm not with you guys anymore, because the beautiful thing that is still there for us in college that at UCONN that the NIL and the portal hasn't destroyed is we have a real beautiful connection here, still in college. There's a feeling of connection, brotherhood. There's real true emotion and feelings for each other here because of the way that our program functions, that, in the end, it's probably a deciding factor is your desire to continue to be a part of that, and not knowing that necessarily is something that you could be a part of in the professional ranks.
Were there any good parts of the last 10 days? Because I got to be honest, you're making it seem like a misery. The Lakers courted you.
I'm making it seem like that. Let's be fair to him, because I am putting him in a bad spot talking about the difficulties of this. But I am surprised by some of the human answers that he's given, because I think I think people think these guys are ambition monsters, and they are, but they also have loved ones, and you're uprooting a life that is really good right now. Is there an amount of money, Dan? Is there an amount of money that they could have offered that would have changed the decision?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I think coach talk is dead. I think nobody wants to hear coach talk anymore. right? I think that's over with. So yeah, I think I mean, to leave, there probably is, to leave a place at any moment in your life. I think that, like, to say that it's not a motivating factor, the finances to leave a place is definitely a thing. To stay at a place, I don't think it's ever going to be a thing. Like to stay somewhere like UConn, it would never have been, I think, a financial thing. Like, again, this wasn't like some like pressure tactic to make me the highest paid college coach. Like that was already done. But to leave a place, that you feel the way we do, and the family connection with my wife, my sons, my mother-in-law, my brother, my father, who, like, I know how much it means to my dad to go to the Big East tournament and to come to 10 UConn games a year at home, and sitting courtside when I'm coaching against Rick Pitino. Like, I mean, yeah, to leave all that behind, there probably is a number. I don't know what that is.
Was the name Bronny ever brought up at any point?
On TV a lot.
That's a good answer.
Like, I love Bronny. When I watched him in high school, I love Bronny. I think, we have kind of unique style of the way we play offense here at UConn. I think it's, our tactics and strategies, I think, are a little bit more unique. And I think it has a lot to do with my background, the high school coach, and then my upbringing with my father. And, what's weird is, like, he would have been incredible in our system with the way that we play basketball. Because he's so athletic, he defends, but then he's like such a smart player. And, he could shoot, he could pass, he's got a great feel. He could play a couple different guard spots. I really like Bronny, but he was not specifically, part of any particular conversation that I did not see on television.
Can you tell me whether you got a firm answer with conviction on whether it was known that you would indeed be coaching LeBron James next year?
Oh, man. I've been so honest the whole way, too. Now I'm going to start.
Well, now you have to tell the truth.
Yeah, I think, I can't answer. There was no definitive. I think anyone that's going to take that position there is anticipating you're going to get a chance to coach, one of the top 2 or 3 players of all time.
I really put you in a bad spot there, didn't I?
Yeah.
Because
I'm trying to play it cool here.
No, you're not playing it cool. You called him a liar. He's trying.
I did not do that.
He's comfortable and he is being super honest. And that question, the reason I ask it is because Tom Izzo couldn't get a hold of LeBron. The power has changed in that sport, and I don't know if you can get 100% answer on that. The job has to be independent of LeBron because he's a free agent. He can leave.
Yeah, I just think the exciting thing about coaching LeBron is in your mind, or any of these great players in the NBA. Like, if you show up with incredible work ethic, and you have like an incredible level of expertise of all aspects of the art of coaching, and then if you're like authentic, honest, and a strong leader, you're going to get the respect. Whether you played in the NBA, whether you've coached in the NBA, there's obvious adjustments that you'd have to make to do it. But, just great players like that, like all-time great players, they just want those things in the coach that's leading the organization.
I appreciate, Dan, your way. Obviously, the work speaks for itself. The results speak for themselves. But the way that you represent the entirety of this sport is worthy of admiration. I will get you out on this note. I just want quick answers from you on who voted which way. Dad, which way did he vote? What was Dad leaning? Was he saying Lakers or UConn?
Big East tournament, I mean.
UConn.
Mother-in-law. I'm sorry?
He did give his blessing to to go out there with an open mind because it was too good of an opportunity. But he was UConn.
Mother-in-law.
Easy one. UConn.
And wife at the end?
UConn.
Yeah, you were outnumbered. You were outnumbered. Yeah,
but there was a number.
Yeah, there was a number. Yeah, we need to get the family on. What was the number? Because I'm not sure there was a number. He was outnumbered. He thinks there was a number. There wasn't a number. There was not a number.
I was done. I mean, it didn't matter what I wanted.
Last thing, because Stugotz desperately wants to talk Billy Joel with you.
Yeah.
I do. I want to guess your top 5 Billy Joel songs of all time. I want to guess what yours would be. Can I do that?
Yeah. Obviously, New York State of Mind. Anytime that we go in for the Big East tournament or we go play at MSG, we blast that on the bus, custom bus when we lose. And the players like, who the hell is this? Right? That's not. That's not the version they like. They like the Jay-Z.
Dan, I had that at number 2, by the way. I guessed your top 5, and I had it at number 2. Do you want to hear the rest of your top 5, and you tell me if I'm right?
Yeah, go.
Okay, number 5, My Life.
Yeah, I like that.
That's in it, right?
Yeah.
Because you're not a piano guy. You're not going to do that. Piano Man, Captain Jack. You're not going to do that. That's too easy. Everyone has that in their top 5. So I'm going to go number 4, Only the Good Die Young.
Only the Good Die Young, yeah.
I know this guy. Number 3, Big Shot.
Yeah.
He's being polite there. Number 2.
I like some girly. I like some of the, I don't want to say like, I don't know if they're like more of a
Scenes from an Italian restaurant.
Just careful.
Yeah.
Careful, Dan.
I like that. It's just long. It's
Right.
just a long song.
Yeah,
It's
it
just
is.
a long song.
You don't have time for that.
Dan, good talking to you. Congratulations. It really has been a wonder to watch your work, sir, and I'm happy for your success.
It was great being on with you guys, man. Love the show. You guys are, you're awesome. In the Stan Van, I've listened to that multiple times, man. It's like one of the best things I've ever heard. And I love you guys. I love the Van Gundys.
Thank you, Dan, for making the time for us. Congratulations.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Dan.
Later.